There was a study on happiness that resilience is like the number one component to happy people. That's what made them the happiest. They went through trials, they went through tribulations, and through that, they built resilience. That actually made them more happy than anything.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. Episode 144. Happiness. What does that word do for you? Do you want it? Do you feel it? Haven't you, not felt it in a little while? It seems to be this pursuit, right? I mean, love the movie, by the way, Pursuit of Happiness. But it seems to be this constant pursuit that we as human beings are on. And is it something that we can ever achieve? I am going to have a conversation with Holly Smith to address that. Now, she's the author of 30 Days to Happiness. She has a podcast and she's founder of the Happiness Formula. So if anyone knows a thing or two about happiness, it'll be Holly. She helps people adopt the right habits to wake up happy every single day. Now, that's a big feat to try and do, by the way. She's a mother, wife, and she lives on the Sunshine Coast here in Australia. So have fun with this conversation. You'll definitely, no matter how you feel about happiness and the pursuit of it, you'll have some incredible little tips and ideas on how to bring more happiness into your daily life. Okay, let's do it. Let's welcome Holly on the show. Welcome to the show, Holly. I could not think of a better guest who is so aligned, your messaging and what you do, and I can't wait to share it with everyone. But welcome from the beautiful sunny coast of Australia. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing so well. It's very sunny and hot here. So I'm inside in the aircon and I get to talk to you and I'm really excited.
Yay! All right. So we love to start with tangible tips in our show. And first of all, because as we uncover with our conversation, people are going to learn that you're all around bringing more happiness into people's lives and how they do that. So this is a great start. We're going to ask, or I want to discover from you, what are a few tips that you would like to share for people that want to feel happier in their life based on moments of high stress or anxiety or overwhelm?
Yeah. So look, if you're a business owner or employee, I think your definition of success really determines your happiness, especially if you're a high performer. So when I think of happiness, I think, okay, well, what, where is my perspective and what is my perspective towards my success? So, for example, social media is a huge part of unhappiness in today's society. You can so easily scroll on social media and look at somebody else's life and think, that's what I want, and that becomes your definition of success. Or maybe your limiting beliefs or your beliefs in your past of what your parents kept telling you, that was your definition of success. And I think your definition of success is very much in line with your definition of happiness. So getting a little bit clear on what your definition of success means, because when you set expectations that are so high and you don't meet those expectations, I can guarantee that's when you become unhappy. Also, when you focus on things that aren't in your control. So if you're waking up high stress, high anxiety, I can guarantee it's something that you have no control over right now. And I can guarantee it's because you're not meeting your own expectations or even somebody else's. So redefining what success and happiness look like to you. I've personally had to do this with going into a new season in my life and my business and what I do want and what I don't want. My definition of success, a few years ago is not the same as it was right now. And you've got to understand as well, like what other people have, you may look up to, but other people are probably looking up to you because you might have other things, right? So we're all in this journey of life. So that's the first thing, is redefining your happiness and your success definition. And then the second thing is your habit. Your habit will determine everything in your life, how you wake up, how you feel, your decisions you make, how well you sleep at night. And I'll go through those habits a little bit further into our podcast. But that's why I wrote my book, 30 Days for Happiness. Those habits that literally help you wake up happy every single day. And I think happiness is really a choice. And that's why you can use habit as like the first aid kit for making that choice.
Love it. So good. And yeah, we're going to get to more of those tips. The whole definition of success, I wish somebody would have shared that with me a lot younger. I remember sort of in my late 20s when I moved to Australia, I finally realized, oh wait, I can choose that. you know?
Oh, different.
Yeah, so important. So based on we've just touched that you have a book. So I want to know a little bit more around what is this book that you speak of? I know you have a podcast as well. What's your journey like, Holly? What did you used to do and how did you find this path to helping others become more happy in their own lives?
Yeah, so through my teenage years, I was super suicidal, super depressed, and that was after um, both my horses passed away. My purpose and my goal in life was always to be Olympics to show jumping, and I lived on acreage my whole life. I ride my horses morning and night. Like my life was horses and equestrian and competing every weekend, training horses, selling them. That was my life, and I've always been an entrepreneur, like working since I was probably like 10. If that
Wow.
was, training horses, selling them, swimming lessons, babysitting, walking dogs, whatever it was. I was always trying to make money. And I got to a point when I was like 16, something happened with my family and we moved off acreage and I had two horses pass away. And anyway, I felt like my life and my purpose was just stripped away from me. And going through high school and, teenage things, it just added to that extra level of anxiety. And if anyone knows what it feels like for your purpose to just be ripped out of you and you just feel lost, that's kind of how I felt. And I just woke up every single day feeling super suicidal, didn't want to live anymore, and just had quite a few years. And then I was just praying to God. I was like, God, can you just take this pain away? And God, I'm gone tomorrow. I think my relationship with God wasn't really that close then. And
Yeah.
yeah, I woke up the next day with absolutely no suicidal thoughts and gave me this idea to write this book with the Needs to Happiness. So, but I wasn't ready to write it yet. And I went through the real estate industry. I got so burnt out I couldn't walk for 4 weeks. My joints, my muscles in my body gave way. And then pretty much these are the 30 habits that reconstruct your subconscious mind to wake up happy every single day. They pulled me out of burnout. They pulled me out of depression. They still pull me out of any kind of anxiety or lows that I'm currently in right now. And the first habit is creating time for yourself.
Yeah.
How many times have we just been go, go, go? And I was talking about the hustle culture before this, and we just forget to take a step back and fill our own cup up before we fill other people's up. So that's even the first habit in the book, and then it goes through a sequence, and the habits go deeper and deeper and deeper. So yeah, that's the formula to happiness, really.
So this, wow. So it's almost like a moment in time, like a pivotal, almost like a calling for you. It sounds like what you said, you woke up and you felt better when you knew this message that you're supposed to live into. Do you know, it's interesting because I know that like the younger generation right now is the generation of anxiety. And like the language all over social media is anxiety and trauma, and like it's so real. And then
Yeah.
it's like the very thing that we're learning from social media that's amazing is also hard and harming us because we have comparisonitis and all these things. So I love the fact that you've leaned into, first of all, a crazy incredible path. So well done getting through those hard
Thank you.
times, but taking those hard times and turning it into a message to help other people. And I want to talk a little bit around, I guess, some of the other habits in your book that you've created. So, okay, so first of all, you have this book. What else have you built around the book? And then we'll dive into some habits. So what else is going on around the book?
Yeah. So before, so when I left the real estate industry, I built a face-to-face personal training business. When COVID hit, I built quite a large online personal training business called BizFit. And
Great.
then pretty much at the end of 2022, I believe, I was competing in a bodybuilding comp. So years before that, I was prepping for years and years, and it kept getting cancelled because of COVID. So that really drained me a lot, and also built a lot of resilience. And when I actually did end up competing at the end of 2022, it was the biggest comp there was. But I think I was 5 weeks pregnant when I was on stage. Anyways, I had my daughter in 2023. She's what, 17? I think she's 17 months now, so she's still a little baby. So
Oh,
going from
wow.
hustling and running quite a large online business to then my whole life's shifting where I'm now a mother. I have a baby. Like I'm a wife. We got married. We've
Yeah.
moved house. I'm living on my dream location. Like my whole life changed so much. So again, I've had to kind of really determine like who I am and my new identity. Because when you're a mother, it feels like it's kind of like stripped away from you. I watched my podcast, launched the book, and then I built the happiness formula. And I decided to leave this bit, my first online personal training business, and go all in on my purpose. And that was really scary. Like I lost a lot of income, but it was me going, I'm burning all bridges and going all in. And that's when I built the happiness formula. So you now have a community of other like-minded business owners and even employees, people wanting to build businesses, but it's more so the accountability. I think a lot of the time people miss the whole accountability aspect because, look, if you can learn to hold yourself accountable, and that's what the happiness formula teaches you, then I believe it's really the greatest gift anyone can really give you is to learn to teach you to hold yourself accountable rather than relying on external factors or, other things for motivation. You've got a plan to get from A to B and to keep pursuing those habits. You're going to be happy, like it's a guarantee.
Yeah, really smart. Okay, so when people, you said you talked about a community that you have. So what do you guys do? Do you have like coaching or how does this
Yeah.
community work?
Yeah, so we have the whole entire happiness formula, and then you've got other courses within this community, like build your business. We've got meditations, affirmations. You've got all like health and fitness plans. You've got everything that you need to live your happy life. So we meet every single week on a Tuesday. We come together for accountability and any questions. But depending on which stage you're in, we come together and we'll create your own happiness formula roadmap. So let's just say someone is here and wants to just get really organized and just, get more self love or get more vision for their life. I'll build their roadmap for them and then they just go through it slowly or at their own pace. But there is accountability mechanisms because that's when people fall off the wagon there and we don't want that. And then the other side is those people who are like, I know what I want, but I just don't know how to get there. Okay, well, let's create your planning system and a roadmap to build that business that you want to. So there's two different types of people that usually come in. But also the community is really lovely because it's just like your accountability is so strong. So many people have made amazing friendships and they're also accountability partners in the community. And it's just really nice.
You built something so amazing. I love this. And your journey, by the way, to how you got there. I had no idea that you had like the real estate background and then the fitness background. And so you're very entrepreneurial and you're a very smart marketer. You probably know that already, but, it's what I do in my business. So I'm listening to a couple of things that you're saying that I just want to flag with people listening. Number one is you have your own formula, the happiness formula, really smart because that sets you apart. You have a like expectations. Someone knows when they sign up with you, they're like, this is the process, the model, the flow I'm going to go through. And I absolutely think that is brilliant because it simplifies everything. You're not
It
just like,
does.
oh, let's coach around happiness. It's like, no, we have a formula. This is what works. Let's go through this.
Yeah. And I'll just add as well, like, and I'm sure other people in the coaching industry have felt like this before or even going through it. I went through a stage where I was attracting the wrong people into my community. These were people that weren't doing the formula. And what I realized was that people were leaving, the retention rate was really low, so really high, and they weren't getting the results. I'm like, what's going on? Anyway, I
Yeah.
did a big, lots of research into like our marketing back end and who these people are and what they wanted when they first came on board, and they weren't our ideal client. So targeting the right ideal client and getting really clear on that will save you so much, like, I guess, confusion with your coaching style and what the outcome is of your program. So stick to what works and just track those people that are going to go through what works so they can get the outcome rather than just taking on everyone and anyone.
Who is your ideal client?
Yeah, so like generally most of them are parents, business owners who are looking for more accountability to get to their next stage in life.
How clear you said that is brilliant. I speak to many business owners, obviously, with this podcast, but just in my own community, and it is something that people struggle with all the time is answering that question. So the fact that you just answered it in like a phrase is like, well done.
Thank you. It
um,
took me a long time. Literally,
yeah,
it did.
yeah, no, it does. I want to talk more about your clients too. So think about maybe one or two people that you've helped through your happiness formula. I always find that when we talk about a case study, the before and the after of somebody, people get a really clear idea on how you work and how you've helped somebody. So paint a picture for us, Holly. Think of somebody you've helped. What were they like when they came to you? How did you work with them? And what happened at the end of that situation?
Yeah, so again, I'll give you two because there's two different types of people.
Love
The
it.
first one is this is crazy, and I've known this lady for quite a few years now, but all of a sudden she just called me up and we had a chat, and I was like, "Well, hey, Colin, I'm talked to you in ages. We've been in Sydney for the first time, and we're part of the same community." And long story short, she was homeless, literally didn't know what to do. She needed so much help, and literally held her accountable to do a few other things, and she went through the formula, and now she's running a six-figure business like 8 weeks later, and so in love with herself, looking amazing. She's found a place where she loves to live, and she's now getting contracts to do speaking gigs around Australia. So that to me is just like incredible how for her, she always said that it was the accountability and knowing that there's someone there that really believes in you just makes it a little bit easier to actually take that next step. And the other person I'm thinking of is he was really burnt out and unhappy in a sales role. And he wanted to build his own business and he wanted to run marathons and he just didn't know how to exactly get there. So we sat down every single week. This is for like one-on-one accountability. And he, in I think 16 weeks, he quit that job, found like literally had offices, had everything, was about to hire his first employee, was ready to rock and roll, and then 12 months later he did $1 million. So it doesn't matter like who you are, what background you came from, but it really determines if you're ready to take that next step and actually do it rather than think about it, that you're going to get to that next level and achieve everything you wanted to do. Like those two people wouldn't have got to where they are now if they didn't say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this first step. They didn't wait for the motivation because motivation is a doing word. Happy people are motivated and motivated people are happy. So if you think about that, generally, if I want to go to the gym every single day, I'll feel a lot happier and I do exercise that I enjoy. It's going to make me motivated to keep going once I see the result. It's the same with everything.
Brilliant. Love it. Okay, now I want more tips because you've just given us a few tips, especially that last one. Tip time. So think about your happiness formula. Think about what you do with your clients. Talk to us. Like if I'm sitting here listening, I'm like, this is great. I have some ideas, but now I really want to know how do I feel more happy? Because one thing I will say before you get started with your tips is that sort of pursuit of happiness, right, is challenged because happiness is so loaded, such a word, and if you're always pursuing it, how do you know when you get it? So I want to have I guess let's start with what does happiness mean? Like what are we trying to achieve with happiness?
Yeah.
And then some tips on how to actually achieve it and get there.
Yeah. Firstly, you got to realize that happiness is not in the future. I know it's really
Okay.
sad and kind of scary to think about. Like once I get here, I'm going to be happy. It's not. You're not going to be happy in the future. Yes, you might be, but let's just say that you're not going to be because happiness starts right now. And I love the saying of, it's called the present because it's a gift. And happiness is actually, a lot of people don't really understand what happiness really is because they think, oh, once I get here, I'll be happy. Once I earn this amount of money, I'll be happy. Once I find the love of my life and have a family, I'll be happy. Once I go on this holiday, I'll be happy. Everything will be okay. They're all quick dopamine fixes that will make you happy. But what about long-term happiness? Not really think about long-term. Happiness is not long-term, unfortunately. It can be if you make the choice every single day to wake up happy. And it is, I do believe it's a choice. And that's why the habits in my book really help. But it's the joy, the daily joy that you have to find every single day. How do you experience more daily joy? Looking at the positives, to redefine your definition and your success of happiness, what that really looks like to you. Staying away from social media and, only for research purposes, but that's what I do now.
Yeah.
And that's been huge. It's defining like what happiness really looks like to me. And when you define your definition of happiness, you know what the next step is moving forward. So, example, I grew up with a father telling me that if I didn't go to uni or I didn't get a good job, then I wouldn't be able to have a nice house, I wouldn't be able to drive a nice car, I won't be happy, because that's what he believed growing up, and that's what he still believes today. So I've had to reconstruct my subconscious mind and my belief system to believe that is not true. I can choose to be here, happy, right now. But it's not just, okay, well, I'm going to get a new puppy. That'll make me happy. It's not about the things. It's about how can I experience more joy, do more things you enjoy doing, enduring and resilient. Endure. You've got to endure things and learn to be resilient. There was a study on happiness that resilience is like the number one component to happy people. That's what made them the happiest. They went through trials, they went through tribulations, and through that, they built resilience. That actually made them more happy than anything. Imagine if you didn't go through any trials at all. You would find like the tiniest little thing to make you feel unhappy, and then you feel like the life would be over. But because you've gone through things, you now can look back and go, wow, I'm so powerful. I'm amazing, And the second part to that would be just your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship of all. If you do not love yourself, you're not going to be happy. Let's be honest.
No. So two things from that. There's a woman in the States named Brooke Castillo who has a coaching school called the Life Coach School. And something that she said that's really great, that is life is 50-50. And basically the idea being that how would you know what happiness is if you don't know what sadness is? And you touched on that. You talked about the trials and tribulations that we all have. You need them in order to actually know what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled. If you just lived a life of blandness, of comfort, you wouldn't know it, would you?
No, that's exactly right. And like a lot of people go like, oh, why is there so much, bad things in the world? And you're right. You wouldn't really determine what true happiness is if there was no opposite. And I was listening to someone the other day, and it might have been a meditation or an affirmation, 10-minute affirmation thing. And he was saying, like, out of everyone that could be alive, so you are alive and you are chosen. Like, you are on this earth. And it's a blessing that you are alive. There could have been so many other people, but you're here. Like, and they're like saying how it's like a 1%, that you are here today. And I just was like, really took me back, and I really thought about it. I'm like, wow, Everyone's here for a purpose. Everyone's here for a reason. Until you really truly believe that, you're not going to do anything with your life that you believe is worthwhile. And that's, I think, when you don't reach your own expectations, that's when you become unhappy. So if you're not reaching your expectations, I'm actually making a difference. I'm serving in the world. There's a reason I'm alive today. Then you wake up every single day and just wandering around and getting lost and not doing anything about it.
Speaking on that, and great point, the idea of living reactively. So I've definitely spoken to people over the years. I even had a time in my life when this happened as well. But the idea that, you suddenly find yourself in a business that you've been in for 10 years that you don't like, or you sort of have fallen into something, and then you continue down that path because you need to pay the bills, or, you don't know if there's other options, and you actually forget what makes you happy. Do you have advice for people on how to find things that will bring them joy if they actually forgot what that might be?
I can really relate to this question. Like, I can really relate to this. And like, I went through a stage of, I don't want to do sales calls anymore. Like, I just am not enjoying life. I'm not enjoying like anything that I'm doing, this and that. And I remember I was like not complaining, but venting to my mentor at the time. He's like, oh, I think you're asking the wrong question. And this was at the same time that I was attracting the wrong kinds of people into my community, and it wasn't making me happy because they weren't getting the results they're looking for. It was making it a lot harder, and it made me feel deflated. So when I ask myself, okay, well, what's the real issue here? It's not because I don't like sales calls. It's not because, I don't want to do this business anymore. I know this is my purpose, but maybe I'm doing it in the wrong way. Or maybe it's time for me to do it in a different way than I have been. Because obviously it's like insanity, right? If you're doing the same thing and you keep getting the same results. So what I would say is, what do you think the real issue really is that's making you unhappy? Is because you've been doing the same thing again and again and you're not changing? Because when you are moving forward and you feel stuck, that's when you know you need to change. That's when you need to push forward and do something different. And I've learned that the hard way. I push, got burnt out, push, still in the same situation, push, nothing's changed. And from knowing that, and you've got to take some time for yourself to sit, journal, or just be with your own thoughts, realize this, and then you can determine, like I've talked about pretty much as a whole podcast, redefine your success, right?
Yeah.
Redefine your success. What does that look like to you? Instead of focusing on the money, maybe look at the metrics. Maybe focus on the serving rather than the daily hustle. I find as well putting your purpose and your big vision on your wall. That's what I suggest to all my clients. Put your values, your core competencies, your purpose, your mission, the vision board up on your wall. So when you're doing your meetings every single day, you know why you're sitting on those calls, or you know why you wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym so you can get to the office by 6. Like, there's more of a reason, a purpose driven behind it.
Brilliant advice. Now, one question for you as we start to slowly wrap up. The question of the future. And there's a lot of change, as you know, being in business and working with businesses, jobs changing due to AI, jobs potentially being lost. There's people that are stressing out. There's people that are excited. There's new supplements coming out. There's mind hacks. There's biohacking. There's all these things floating around us right now, and a lot of noise as well. So what's the future of, I'll call it the pursuit of happiness? What's the future of happiness, the pursuit of it, and fulfillment look like when things are just getting busier and noisier and crazier?
I think as well, as business owners, we get caught in the shiny object syndrome. I did all the time. So it's not until you're clear on that vision of where you want to go that you can say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Like, you've got to be really careful with what you say yes to and what you say no to. And what they say, most successful people in the world usually say no to more things than yes. So I think you really need to determine where you're going first. Otherwise, you're not going to know what to say yes and no to. One of the habits in my book, strong decision making, that will save you a lot of time. You can ask yourself, okay, well, is this supplement actually going to do anything for me? If you are in that phase in your life where you feel stuck and it's time to do something different, by all means, give it a go. With anything that you're doing, business, marketing approach or whatever, like I am a big believer that you've got to try things to see if they work. The more things you try, the more times you fail, the closer you're going to get to succeeding. So if you're sitting on the sideline and you're so scared to take action, every single time you fail, you're getting one step closer. Those billionaires out there, they've failed 3 times in the last few hours rather than not taking any action. So they're one step closer to getting the desired goal they're looking for. But when it comes to pursuit of happiness, I think it all goes back to social media, let's be honest. And the ideal, I think the Kardashians, like, not to speak badly of them, but they've kind of ruined it for the younger generation with self-image, what the hustle and life should look like, that it's okay to have, you can date whoever you want and have children with whoever you want. Like, again, I'm not judging. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think they've built such a interesting culture that so many young women are now replicating what they see and they want that for their life and they think that's success. So if you think that's success and it's such a far away ideal and it's not true to their purpose, they haven't looked within with what their true purpose is. They just go, oh, I want to be like this person. Then they're not going to meet their own expectations, and that's why they're getting anxious, and that's why they have anxiety, because they have no way of getting to that massive goal of looking like and being like somebody else. And I think that's why, yeah, social media, I don't know where it's going to be in the next few years, but definitely has already impacted a lot of young women specifically, yeah.
It does. And that message really resonates with me, what you just said around
Cool.
specifically the Kardashians and influencers. Yeah, us chasing what they live without even asking, A, is it right for us? And B, is that actually their life anyway? So
Yeah,
where do people find out more about you if they want to read the book or be part of your community?
yeah. So you can go to my website, 30days to happiness.com.au. You can follow me on Instagram, Holly_Smith00, and on LinkedIn. And my podcast is 30 Days to Happiness. So if you just want to tune in there, you totally can.
You guys have another podcast you could listen to. And as we start to wrap up, do you have any last words of advice for our listeners who are sitting here right now, potentially thinking, but Holly, I don't have time. I'm stressed. I have too much going on. How do I look after myself?
Yeah, you just need to take a moment. Take an hour without your phone, grab a paper and pen, and just sit there with your thoughts. A lot easier said than done.
So let's go back to your advice, your last bit of advice.
I would suggest that you grab a paper and pen and you sit down with your own thoughts. And again, it's easier said than done because who wants to sit there listening to their own thoughts? But if you can sit down and listen to your own thoughts, then you'll really get a good understanding of what's going on in your head. And then you'll be able to really understand of what your belief systems are doing, what your subconscious mind is doing. Why is it showing up the way it is? And why do you keep thinking about the same thing? If you think about 85 or 95% of thoughts are repeated on a daily basis. So what you thought about yesterday, you're going to think about today. If you think about all those negative things and, I'm not worthy of this or I hate myself here or blah, 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 you're probably going to think that the next day. And when you think thoughts again and again and again, they become a habit, right? And then you start believing them. And then they become your behaviors. So if you sit down with yourself and with a paper and pen, just without your phone and just listen to your own thoughts and write them down, you'll get a very good understanding of where you are and what the next step is you need to take.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. And it's been a pleasure just hearing about your journey and where you've come from and through that, what you've created and the help you're putting out there to the world. Certainly we need more people like you. So thank you, Holly, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. You've asked some really great questions and I hope everyone got some value.
Definitely. Thank you.